Hello everyone and welcome back to Space Engineers. We are on a different planet this episode. A little bit different than what we're used to. And I'm going to do something that I really haven't done before. And that is going to be a build of something that already exists. So I am actually going to be building a base runner from the Deserts of Kharak game that came out a little while ago. It's basically a prequel to Homeworld, for those who do not know of it. And the reason being is that I just want, I think, a game, or not a game, but a build to be a little bit more special and a little bit more focused on one specific thing, rather than trying to accomplish something on my own. It helps the build process a whole lot. Okay, hold on. As I'm losing my mind, trying to get this lined up. And so we're just going to start out with the frame. As normal when you're building any type of vehicle, this is probably the first thing you want to try and establish. And the proportions for a base runner is it's a very large vehicle. Space engineers can't do something quite that large, so this is going to be like a mini version, you could say. It's a 6-wheeled vehicle. And I have enabled some mods to basically allow this to happen. And hope to at least do it somewhat justice. But we need to first establish kind of where everything connects up and how it connects up. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do that suspension system that's on it right now. It's basically a 2-prong system. It has a rotor, say here, followed by a rod, and then another kind of rotor here, and then the wheel actually attaches to that. So this whole thing goes up and down. We'll see how well that is doable. Most of this is probably going to end up being a speed build or something of the sort, and I apparently forgot to turn off hostiles. I do not need dogs destroying my stuff. Okay, we're good. I need to probably change that as soon as possible. So, to get the wheels that are big enough, I had to actually install a mod, and it basically allows large ship blocks onto small ships at its full scale. So if we look at a large ship wheel here, you can kind of see how big it is. Actually, that might be too big. At least compared to the frame that we're building here. Well, you know, looking at this kind of scale, that's actually kind of the right scale for the wheels. And I did not expect that to actually function that well. So you know what, we're gonna have to upscale this a lot real quick. Or at least try to. I do have a picture up on the other screen. Wow, that is way larger than I originally thought it would be. I definitely should have checked that before we got started here. So I'm going to have to expand the frame out quite a ways. This episode we're probably just going to go ahead and finish maybe the front end of it. Wow. It is quite the large vehicle that we're constructing here. If you guys haven't played Deserts of Kharak, I would suggest it. It is a mighty fine game. little bit of a more streamlined homeworld, and it's ground-based combat rather than space. Okay. Trying to look at my screenshots here. Alright, let's just carve out the nose, and then I guess we'll work from there. I'm probably going to have to be doing a lot of copying and pasting the whole thing. Trying to pick it up and other bits down. Alright, how long is this? I need this to be an odd number, just for our sake later on. Okay. So this is the front grill area that I'm gonna do. And if you guys saw a picture of this thing, you would know how big it is, because it is massive. Just this massive hulking sand crawler that I don't even think will function in Space Engineers. But we're gonna try it. We are definitely going to try it. Let's grab a ramp. If I was building this in Scrap Mechanic, it would actually probably be easier. Just how Scrap Mechanic works. I kind of wish there was a 3x1 slope. It doesn't look like I have one. Kind of dampens my plans for how I want this thing to look. Come on, rotate the right direction. Now, does this keep the same slope line? It does, of course. Let's grab the large version though, as it's much quicker to add on. Okay, we'll do this for some additional detailing. And then the front grille. Well, first off, the cockpit area is probably prone to needing construction here. The cockpit area, really, if I had to guess, only takes up that much. So it's not a massive cockpit by any means, but I suppose in terms of scale on what we normally do, it is fairly large. Maybe too small though. Might have to increase this a little bit more. I think for the scale that the wheels are, this is about right. Okay, so this is where we are at after a few hours of construction. Gonna go ahead and go over some of the major features. One, glass is very hard to do. So, I don't know how I'm going to do this, like, slope here and put glass on it. I need to make this angled at like a 45 degree, pretty much all the way across here. And that's going to be a bit of a challenge, just because of these two slope blocks kind of get in the way of things. So I might have to remove that completely, do the glass first, and then construct the walls around it, or something. Who knows? It's a little bit of a pain. But all the other glass is on, and it looks nice. From the speed build, you guys have noticed I've been working on this side the most. It is rather challenging to get the proportions right for the vertical. It took me a couple tries, as it was probably down to, say, here initially, and then I cut it back, and then I had to cut it back again. And measuring with the wheel on there was probably the only way I could get that even close. So there's still plenty of progress to be done. I'm slowly starting to sculpt back here, kind of where the back armor slopes down and around the back wheels. In fact, if I am correct, I believe I can draw that armor plate on here, because it actually straightens out beneath all this kind of angled bits, and the wheels actually connect on to that layer. Everything else is just kind of visually pleasing. We're using giant air vents here for some details. We're using a connection port for detail. You know, interior wall plating. More detail is going to be added as soon as we get more, of course, of the structure built. But it helps having a reference for once. I think it's actually going to propel the series forward rather easily. The convoy that we were working on, probably not going to continue that. I didn't really, after a while, I was just like, this is not really fun to work on. Mainly because I have a hard time building in Space Engineers, as it doesn't really follow some logic that my mind wants to do. So for me, building off of reference is probably a much better and easier way to go. In fact, looking at my reference again, it looks like that actually doesn't really fully enclose. It's going to wrap around right here a little bit. Yeah, I just want to keep fiddling with it and expanding it over time. Here we go. Yeah, that'll wrap around a little bit more. This will probably get squared off a little bit. The radiator, by the way, is on here, and some vents and things. Now, to do and give kind of a radiator, what I'm doing is I'm just using solar panels here, and that gives a kind of back detail behind the grating, which looks pretty nice. And we will eventually at some point have to build the kind of metal rods here, and I think here and here. This is kind of like a front bumper, if that makes sense. Maybe put some more blocks on it. As you can see, I can't even stop myself building right now. I'm actually having quite a bit of fun on this one. And here, it's just kind of amazing what you can do with as soon as you start adding blocks onto blocks in layers and stuff. Anyways, I think I'm going to end the episode here. Thank you guys so much for watching, as always. If you all enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe to my channel for more creative goodness. Go ahead and hit that like button. Check out my other videos if you like, and I'll see you all in the next one.